Namaste, greetings from Kathmandu, Nepal, and welcome to the last online lecture in our series for this year. So we have been looking at meaningful tourism from different perspectives, and today we will talk about the step-by-step implementation of meaningful tourism. So how can we put this into practice? So the content is very simple, so I will very quickly go through for those who have not been here before in looking at what is meaningful tourism, and then we will look at the step-by-step implementation of the meaningful tourism paradigm and the tools. And at the end, there is a question and answer session with you, with the audience. So if you have any questions, please keep them in mind, and you can also, of course, use the chat function, but the easiest is to ask after we finish the presentation, which should be about 45 or 50 minutes. Let's see. So, first of all, this online lectures have been free, and this one is also free, of course, and that is thanks to the sponsorship by ourselves, but also by the Tourism Institute. And thanks again for helping us and with all the technical organization and the marketing. So this is all free, thanks to them as well. Of course, if you want to have a participation certificate, you can get that. For that, we have to ask for a little fee. If you want to have a participation certificate, just please drop us a line and we are happy to provide it. So Meaningful Tourism Center is a company based in London, headquarters here in Kathmandu, and we have partners and trainers all around the world, and we are working in all different aspects of meaningful tourism, and I have the honor and the privilege to be the founder and executive director, and many people now call me Prof. M for meaningful, and I've been working with tourism for many, many years as a professor, but also as a trainer and consultant all over the world. So if you want to know who's talking to you, you can see a brief introduction here. Well, it doesn't really matter so much other than you can see that I've working especially with China for many years, since my first visit there in 1978. I actually just came back a few days ago again from China this year. I've been six times in China, as it's not far away from Nepal, where I moved last year. And maybe, interesting to say that I'm a fellow of the Royal Geographical Society, where King Charles III is our mentor. More importantly, these are the certified trainers we have all over the world. And you will see that if you have been following the lectures in the last weeks, some of them have been also showing up there. So they are there for the offline trainings and for all local services, and they provide all kind of different qualifications. And if a qualification is needed, the local trainer does not have, we have a network where almost everything can be provided. Also to mention, we are very proud that in the middle of the year, PATA used our approach as the official vision statement. So you can see on the picture the moment when this was announced, and it was voted with 100% yes, that the official vision of PATA is now a meaningful Pacific Asia tourism economy. So just to recap very quickly, what is meaningful tourism? And of course, if you want to see more, there are the previous lectures all free to download as videos from the Tourism Institute website. You can see the link here. So meaningful tourism is based on the insight that to have everybody happy, everybody has to be happy. But very common idea. So for us, it means that all stakeholders in tourism hospitality need to receive objective benefits, money, jobs, regional development, and also subjective satisfaction, that they also have to be happy about what is happening in tourism hospitality. And that is necessary to sustain the development of the companies, of the destinations, and of tourism in general. So who are the stakeholders? Travelers, host communities, the employees working in the industry, the companies themselves, the government on different levels, and the environment, both the local one and the global one. And as trees cannot speak, this is, of course, then done by NGOs and other organizations taking care of the environment for them. Why do we need meaningful tourism? Because we are living in times of change, as we can see every day in the news. So we have the climate breakdown, which will be with us in the coming decades, whatever happens from tomorrow morning. We see AI creating a revolution, which is probably bigger than what we have seen with the advent of the internet. And we also see that demand is changing. We see people now asking for transformational experiences, and also we see that there are many of the source markets are aging societies where we have less kids and more older, healthy people. So as I said, I just came back from China, and in China, the number of marriages and the number of children born has been halved within 10 years in the last decade, which is for demographic developments unheard of. And I talked to many young ladies in China in the last week, and they all said, no, I probably will not marry, and I certainly will not become a mother. So we see less kids and more seniors. And so this is happening, and it will happen for sure. So therefore, it's not just nice to have, but we need to embrace change, and we need a holistic tool for that. And meaningful tourism is trying to provide this by helping you to analyze the situation, by helping you to develop a strategy, by helping you developing KPIs to monitor it, and by promoting education and promoting public discourse about the right way to organize tourism. So this is just as a short reminder. So as I said, if you want to have more information, go to our website, look at the videos. So there are many sources. We are publishing a new special focus on the Bali Journal of Hospitality and Tourism, which will come out in a few days. Also another source for you if you need more. And of course, otherwise, just contact us. So coming to the main topic, meaningful tourism step-by-step implementation. And let's start with step one, as usual. And step one is simply acknowledgement of the need for change. That sounds very simple, but is not so simple after all. So we see a lot of people having ideas, old ideas, new ideas, thinking, oh, it's all the government has to do this, or it's all about money and nothing else. So we have to see that I've been saying to my students for many years, answers are easy, questions are difficult. So you have to ask the right questions, you have to have the right approach in looking at what are you doing. And of course, it is not so easy because many business models in tourism hospitality worked very well for many years. So since about 1970, when the first jumbo jet took to the air, there were 50 years when we had progress and increasing numbers and increasing turnover, increasing number of customers, of travelers. So if you were not very unlucky or a bit stupid, you wouldn't make your money in tourism. So why change it? So you can see, especially if you go to Europe or maybe also to North America, people are saying, and Australia maybe as well, oh, let's keep it as it was. It worked so well, and maybe people saying everything will change. I don't believe it. They have been saying this many times. So let's just try to keep the old. And if we don't have enough natural snow anymore for the skiing, let's have technical snow. And if it's too hot in the summertime, well, let's move to another month of the year, and so on. However, there is no way back because AI, climate changes, smaller workforce, harder to get good people, aging source markets, and also rebellious host communities are all making sure that we have to change. And that means creative destruction, actively embracing change while there is still time for that. So that is the first step, to say, okay, we have to do something. And in my experience with the Meaningful Tourism movement, the partners in Africa, also in Asia, are much more likely to understand that, because they still have to do some catching up, and they're not so much in the old structures, so it's easier for them to say, yeah, let's try something new. Second step, using a positive holistic approach instead of blaming, shaming, prohibiting. So the meaningful tourism paradigm is grounded in positive psychology, so not healing illnesses, but make sure that well-being is there in the first place. So it's not about balancing or compromising, but it's about aligning interest, and not just saying so, but really measuring it with the help of key performance indicators. So that is the approach where we can move to a practical, positive, and holistic framework for sustainable tourism. So instead of asking what to forbid, what to reduce, what to stop, better ask which forms of tourism ensure benefits for all stakeholders. And we can see that all-inclusive beach resorts or giant cruise ships are not a form of tourism ensuring benefits for all stakeholders, to give just a few examples. So to ask, how can satisfaction for all be created? Which also has to do with information, what people understand, what is tourism doing, and also what are the maybe sometimes hidden positive results of tourism. So what positive outcomes, value creation, and transformative experiences can actually be provided. So going to the topic with a positive approach, and not just saying, oh my God, it's so bad and we have to stop this and have to stop that. So some people say we should stop leisure tourism altogether. We should not have people flying around anymore. Well, living in Nepal now, how else do we want to reach Nepal? We don't have a harbor. We don't have a railway. It's very hard to come here by car. So if there are no more aircraft, there will be no more tourism in Nepal. So this is one of the strengths of meaningful tourism, that we are having a positive outlook in these times where many people are not very positive for good reasons. We are concentrating on the physical and the mental well-being. It's not just wellness, it is well-being. And we address the search for meaning. You can see that actually the word meaningful in the 5 years since the Meaningful Tourism Center exists has become much more commonly used. People are also, based on the pandemic, are looking for meaning in their life. And I put up this slide again because that is something very important to understand, is where we are moving towards to, and where we maybe have already arrived, is the transformation economy. So on the right-hand side, you can see at the bottom, this is a book which will come out in a few weeks by Mr. Pine, who invented, together with Mr. Gilmore, this experience economy idea, and where the experience economy was something where you were staging experiences. This was our job. Now we are moving to the matter where we have transformations, where our job is to guide their customers, and the customers have also a much bigger role in making things happen. So the relevance of the customer is increasing, and for the industry, the good news is also you can earn more money from that, because it's customized. Transformational experiences are also more expensive as they are more personal and customized. So this to say, okay, some background to understand that. And now the next step is, and that is another important one, is creating communication among stakeholders. So in tourism, we have the situation that most of the companies working in tourism are SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises. And many of them are so much working in their day-to-day business and are fully busy with surviving the next day and then taking care of the customers and their little problems, and they don't have much time to look up and to communicate with their fellow partners and maybe even less with other stakeholders not directly involved. So I've been a tour operator for many years myself before I became a professor. I know how much you can be sucked in by all the things which have to be managed and problems solved every day. So that this is clearly important. And I don't want to put too much theory here. We are talking about practical implementation, but one word you should have heard is Kaizen, which is a Japanese word for continuous improvement. And this is an idea which is very close also to the ideas of meaningful tourism, so that you are always on the lookout how to make things even better. That might be some very small things, even trivial things, but all this will be helping to improve the company's operations and the perception of your customers of the service quality. So, and also, of course, Kaizen is important from an ecological point of view, because it is one important point is to eliminate waste and redundancies. So waste reduction in tourism is certainly very important. So if you have a buffet, you can see how much food is wasted, and also you can see how many things are organized 2 times and 3 times in parallel, wasting energy, wasting resources. So keep this in mind. If you have never heard about this, well, this is actually mostly from Wikipedia. So there's a lot of information about this. That was very much on vogue in the 1970s, 1980s, when Japan was still a shining light in the global economy. So if you have some time, look it up. So for us, that means a holistic approach can only work if all stakeholders are involved. So before we come to practical action, just start by collecting the views and statements about the current situation, and that can be in your destination if you're a DMO, of the services if you're a company, of the working conditions, asking your employees, and also thinking about what are the consequences for the surrounding society and for the surrounding nature. How much good or bad are you doing by your activities for them? And this can be done, of course, with the existing communications. People write about you on social media, and you have feedback channels, which might be, I don't know, the labor union or other for your employees. And you have people giving your remarks, and you can maybe also have a meeting for that and asking people for their ideas, or you can have an anonymous survey. Depends on what kind of company or organization you are. Of course, if you're only 3 people, then you know your internal situation, but still the question, what is the effect of what we're doing for the people around us? Maybe you never had time to think about that. Of course, if you're bigger, you can make a town hall meeting or whatever. So in one word, listen, spend some time to try to find what people think about you. And as we said, now with social media, a lot of people taking to their computer or their smartphone to tell you by themselves what they think about your place or your services. So that is already a major source of free information you should use. So meaningful tourism is not using a certification process. That's an important point to make. So this is not all about getting a certificate to hang behind your desk on the wall, because it is not transparent for guests or travelers. As we all know, there are so many certificates, and some are very easy to get and some are not so easy to get. So people really don't know, normal customers, normal guests really don't know which one is which one. And also, I've seen in many cases the situation that once a organization or a company has a certificate, then they say, okay, now we've done our work and we can stop working. And so the certificate is not the starting point, but ending the process. This is, of course, not how it should be. So what we have is the Meaningful Tourism movement. We are starting with 2026 to call it like that. And you can become, and hopefully you will become, a Meaningful Tourism movement member. And that can be on different levels. It can be a member, can be a certified member, and even a distinguished member, depending on how much you are engaging yourself and how much you are doing for yourself and for your surrounding. So how does it work? So here you have an overview, and we have to distinguish between small, medium-sized enterprises, small companies, and destination management organizations, national tourism organizations, large corporations like hotel groups or airports and so on. So first, let's talk about the SMEs. So there is something called the self-assessment and commitment, and this can be then renewed. And also at the third level, the distinguished membership also asks for doing some extra things, like participating in an offline training, which is a Meaningful Tourism Transformative Game Workshop. We will talk about this a bit later, and so on. And we will talk later, we will look again at this table to look on the right side of it. So let's concentrate on SMEs first. So we have created a tool for self-assessment. How does it work? So why are you planning to become a member of the Meaningful Tourism movement? There can be, of course, different reasons. So that you have understood and that you see from the reality, from the forecast, that you need to change because the old business model is threatened by development in technology. Many tour operators will get kicked out of the market because with AI as a personal assistant, you don't need tour operators anymore for normal travels. The environment, places get too hot, too crowded. You will have seawater too hot, getting too warm, and maybe have some poisonous algae or whatever. City centers will get too warm to walk around in the main season. Other than that, also we have flooding and storm and cold periods of time. And also we see that the demand structure is changing. People don't want to drive in a coach bus around in a group just taking a photo. They want a more customized, individualized service. You might say, oh, I have to do something. So achieving the first step of acknowledgement, there's something to need because there's pressure. So customers or guests are much more likely than before to ask, hey, where is the energy coming from? What are you doing with your waste? How can you organize the transportation in a more environmental friendly way, and so on? There is pressure from the government that you have, for instance, the European Union now quite a lot of regulations for reporting and for changing the action, and also the host community. We saw in many places will say we don't accept anymore that our city center is taken away from us, or our local culture is destroyed by Starbucks and Airbnb, so that you are forced to find a more sustainable way of working. And also, of course, if you're a good businessman or a woman, you will understand that if you change, you have a chance to increase your resilience, your attractiveness to employees, a topic which will become more and more important, and also your profitability. Meaningful tourism is profitable. So what this self-assessment is offered for individual companies and organizations, smaller ones, and is based on 24 smart KPIs which are provided to you, which you have to check on, and some of them you can customize yourself. And you are asked to commit yourself to improve the performance for at least 2 of the KPIs. You can choose yourself, and you can, of course, have to define the starting point and what goal you want to reach and what actions planned to achieve this goal. So you send all this information back to us. We evaluate it, and if we accept it, then you are recognized as a Meaningful Tourism Movement member. And actually, after half a year, we will have an online consultation. So this is included, where we talk about the progress and see how we maybe can support you in reaching the goal you have identified and defined for 1 year. And after 1 year, so we get another report if how things have been turned out, and maybe a renewed commitment so to move on to the next year. So how do you get this information? So it will be, especially for smaller organizations and companies, important to use mostly available information, so including videos and publications, of course, from us for the self-assessment, so that you are understanding what this is all about. Well, that is what we do just now for the moment. And of course, involving as many stakeholders as feasible horizontally, so colleagues, and vertically, the other stakeholders not in the same group as yourself. So, and you will probably have to use mostly existing data, adding further information as far as possible. And of course, for all this process, if you need some support, either the local trainers or we at the headquarters here will support you, of course, for that as far as we can. So, as I said, so you're asked to identify 2 smart KPIs where improvements are necessary and possible. You have to discuss internally what is the starting point, where are we now, and what is the intended goal, and what actions we can do to achieve that goal. So then if you say, okay, we have a positive feedback of our customers of 4.2, we want to move to 4.5. How do we do that? Or we want to reduce our electricity consumption by 10%. How do we do that? And so sending this self-assessment form, including the improvement plan, to us, and we will either confirm, or if there are some points where we think it's not clear or could be done a different way, we will ask you to provide a second version. So what are these smart KPIs we are talking about? So for instance, for travelers or for guests, it will be how diverse is your market? And that can be according to from which country people are coming from, which age groups or which gender groups, depends on what is relevant for you. For employees, for instance, how many % of people working with you are women in management positions? And for the environment, are you already participating in a carbon credit trading program or some similar activities to reduce your ecological footprint, and so on? So we try to make this as cost friendly as possible. So you can see for if your company or organization has less than 10 employees, it costs $99, otherwise costs $199. And for that, you get all the materials and the evaluation, and you get a logo. You are listed on our website. You get access to the paid part of the Tourism Weekly, and you get half an hour online consultation all included. And after the year, you get the evaluation of documentation, and if it's recognized as good enough, you will get the second year as a certified member. So to keep the status after 1 year, there's of course you should do a new round of self-assessment, and obviously you will receive preferred treatment for our publications, our conferences, all our PR and social media communication. We will of course point out the good experiences and the best practice examples of our members, and if you are participating in other trainings and workshops and so on, and having other forms of implementation support, you get reduced prices. So this is the step of self-assessment, but this is, as I said, not ending, but this is actually the beginning of the process. Of course, it depends very much if you're already a very small company or a bit bigger, how much internal structure you need to create, but you should have some people who feel responsible and meet regular to take care of the Meaningful Tourism activities, and also, if possible, have an external structure where you are a part of a organizational structure where other stakeholders meet each other, and that can be done by yourself or by joining something which is already existing. A very important point is that the KPIs we provide are, of course, general KPIs and depends on your situation and your business. You will have to customize them for your situation with additional KPIs if according to feasibility. But that, of course, depends very much if you are a souvenir shop or a tour operator or a whatever, so that the KPIs cannot be one size fits all. Again, this is where this approach differs maybe from many of the certification processes. So for each KPI, the starting data point is defined, and the method of measurement, how do you get the data, is established, normally using public or your own internal data. And these data are collected and put into a database or with AI help. So we will also help you to develop a dashboard where you can see this in real time. And of course, you are invited to follow our publications and free online lectures and workshops we regularly will do also in the future. And if in your country, in your region, there's also the tourism organizations, the DMO or NTO, involved in Meaningful Tourism, of course, it's a good idea to join what they are doing, and keep in mind that after 1 year to do the renewal. So for all these activities, we here in the headquarters and also our certified trainers are happy and ready to assist you. And that can be for a one-time meeting, or it can be on a permanent, regular base according to what are your needs. So this is the steps for a SME, for a small organization, for a family-run hotel, and so on. So let's look at the bigger fish in the pond. So that can be DMOs, NTOs, or larger companies and organizations like hotel groups, larger museums, national parks, car rental companies, airports, and so on. So here, the first step is simply familiarization, so getting to know about the concept of meaningful tourism, and then deciding, okay, well, that is a suitable concept for us. We want to go deeper into that, and having somebody who is responsible for that, either one person or a task force, and contacting either our local trainer or us here and say, guys, let's do something together. And as promised, this is again what is 3 levels steps for DMOs, NTOs, large corporations. So there is something called the Meaningful Tourism Transformative Game Workshop. And alternatively, also if you involve yourself in carbon credit trading, that can also be used for that. And then if you do this in the second year, another training that can also be a source market training. I will talk about this also in a minute. Then you can move up, depends on how active you are, and move to the level of certified and distinguished member of the Meaningful Tourism movement. So how does it work? So this is a transformational game workshop, which is offered offline, and it is done by our trainers around the world. And why are we doing this as a game workshop? Well, of course, as we said, well, the world is changing and tourism is changing, and also tourism training and education needs to change because a lot of the facts of simple knowledge, while they have a machine now and you have Ask GTP or you have Perplexity or Grok and all these programs, all these apps which are there. If you're old-fashioned, you're still using ChatGTP. That is the past. And I recently saw an overview that there are now about, I don't know, 500 apps which are better than ChatGTP. But anyway, even this is not bad. So, but it all means that just to get information, just to get knowledge, you don't need education that much anymore. What we need now is skills, critical thinking, how to use information, and also interpersonal, intercultural, and interdisciplinary capabilities. And that's why we have developed this as a gaming framework, not like what we do now, one guy talking with slides and the others are supposed to listening, but where everybody gets a role and then has to play for one day within the role and thereby making new experiences about the role itself, but also understanding that people are working and having opinions and activities, not only because of what kind of person they are privately, but also what are their objective interests they are following, depending on what kind of job you are having. So these are normally one-day workshops. Of course, we can also do this for 2 days or more, and we have an academic version for higher education institutions, so institutes and universities, where normally it's a 2-day workshop. It can be done in the local language by the local trainers, and of course the material will be customized each time, depends. So if you're a national park, you need something else compared that you are the city DMO of a large city. It works best if there are about 20 people or so. If it's more than 30, it becomes a bit crowded and not everybody has an opportunity to talk anymore. And also the participants will receive a certification and will be added to a list of the certified participants on our website, unless they don't want that. So this is a game-based learning, which from my experience is 20 years professorship. So if students or participants in such a workshop do something, they learn and they remember much better as if they just listen to something. It's also an opportunity where maybe the boss ends up to play the role of the cleaning woman and the lady from the hotel reception ends up to play the tourism minister. And we have been using this in many places all over the world, but of course it is adapted to local contexts. It's scalable, it can be replicated. So for a hotel group with properties in 15 countries, we can do this in the same way with localized content all over the place. It can be white labeled or co-branded, so you can also do this as your training. And as I said, it can be offered in many different languages because we have, I think, among our trainers, at least 20 different languages we can offer. So this is how one day is working. So normally in the morning, it will be discussions and always going back and forth between plenum and each stakeholder group talking among each other. And the first part of the afternoon will be like that. And then the second half of the afternoon is then dedicated to developing on the base on what has been agreed, what people want to do, what alignment of interest there is, to define smart KPIs to see, okay, how can we measure and what can we do to improve the situation for each stakeholder group. So we also have to ask money for that, unfortunately. So for 1 day, it costs $1,500, and for 2 days, $2,000. If I'm supposed to be there online, we might ask another fee for that. We might also waive the fee. Depends. And of course, for full semester programs and for the implementation support, this depends on how much that is. It is, of course, on request. So I mentioned before, there's also another kind of workshop we offer, which is the source market workshops, where we are using the expertise of our many trainers and in the headquarters to talk about specific source markets. I've been talking about China for many years. Obviously, I can also talk about different European markets. Being a European now, after more than a year here, I might even be able to start talking about Nepal, but my Nepali colleagues can do it much better. So, and this is also based on the meaningful tourism approach. So to say, okay, how can I train and prepare the local communities and the employees? How can I empower the companies for their adaptation of the product and for their specific storytelling? How can I create the political frames? Visa policy comes to mind. And also, how can I include different customer groups in the quest in protecting the environment? So like the game workshop, this is also, the price is the same and the conditions are similar. And the last point I want to mention here is that we are also offering in partnership with IROI, which is a company based in California and in India, workshops and assistance to engage in the reduction of energy and water consumption and in the reduction of waste production. This is mostly, and that's why it's mentioned here, for larger companies and organizations. So because hotel groups, office buildings, fairgrounds, museums, all these places can enter into a triple win situation. You can reduce the amount of energy and water used. You can reduce the amount of waste. And for this, there are a lot of technical measures and organizational measures provided by the experts from IROI. So that means triple win because you don't have to pay less. So you have to pay less, sorry, for the energy, for the water. You have to pay less for waste disposal. And you can also create income from carbon and water credits. So you can prove what you are reducing, and that can then be bought by other people. And this is done by IROI on your behalf. So you actually get money back. And from the projects, I know that normally you will have to invest some money into technology. But after 1 year, the investment comes back. And from the second year, you have both less cost and money coming from basically falling from the sky for your credits. And the third triple win is not unimportantly that you can show your customers in their everyday experience of your product, of your destination, of your hotel, whatever, that you are really actively supporting sustainable tourism and meaningful tourism and are really doing something to reduce unnecessary usage of water and of electricity and using and reducing unnecessary waste. So, as we said before, this training and implementation of KPIs, this is not the end of the story, this is the beginning of the story. So, of course, here, bigger companies, bigger organizations will have more ability to, and necessity also to create an internal structure with a kind of task force which is taking care of the meaningful tourism activities, and an external structure, including as many as feasible and possible the stakeholder representatives. All this has to be established, and that can be done in a monthly workshop, inviting the host community, inviting your suppliers, and maybe some environmental people, and so on. So, and the same as for small companies, even more with the bigger players, that there's a need to customize the KPIs for the local situation and add additional KPIs. And this is similar to the small companies. So for the KPIs, of course, there's a need to define the starting points, define how to measure, and define what we want to do to change and improve the situation, creating a database, or in that case, probably much better, a dashboard, looking at the development, taking part in activities connected with this, and for the bigger players also maybe actively participating, being invited by us to be a speaker or a panelist in the conference, and so on, and keeping in mind to do enough to keep your membership level. Also here, for all the activities, our trainers and the headquarter are happy and ready to assist you. Again, that can be done spontaneously one time, or can be done with an agreement. We have some standard packages which can be the base of discussion and then can be customized according to the needs. And also something which might be interesting here, that we are organizing stands in tourism fairs around the world under the flag of Meeting for Tourism. So that will be something which might also be interesting to go to some new markets, especially where maybe the company has not been with their own stand before, and to test it out. So sharing a stand within Meeting for Tourism structure, that is another option we offer. So that's it from me. That is the presentation I have provided for you. Again, if you want to know more generally about what is Meeting for Tourism, go to the Tourism Institute website and look at the other lectures we had before. Other than that, I am very happy to see if there are any questions from you, and happy to answer them. Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you for looking at the presentation. So we are live back now, and so happy to hear all your questions. So I see that also I'm happy to welcome some colleagues. Dr. Young and Brigitte are here, and our dear friend Amina has again joined, and also Mr. Wen is here. Hi, hello. So if you have any questions, so go ahead.
No.
Okay. So Mr. Hey, how are you? Okay.
Good morning, Prof.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Just a quick comment.
Please.
If I can quickly come in. Yes, thank you very much, Prof. M, for the presentation. And it's very, very elaborate. I don't know, what format will it take during the workshops, whether with the SMEs or with the big companies? So the training could be a lot more interactive. Looking at the presentation which you have done, it just gives us a skeleton. So from the side of the trainers, do we have to work again on what you have presented to come out with some kind of blueprint which will be used during workshops?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Thank you very much. And so we have created from the trainings we have been doing already, so that there is a format, and this is has been provided, and so probably we will do a little bit updating now, including some more new information. But so that for the trainers there is a structure. And I had one slide where we showed what is a typical one-day workshop running. So, and it is basically make sure that information is given by the trainers based on the slides we have provided, which can, of course, be customized. And even we can also provide different language versions. So if you need a French language version, thanks to AI, this takes 5 minutes now to translate, no problem anymore. And then there's always the part where the people from the different stakeholder groups are then discussing among themselves. And at the beginning, so every participant, and we have prepared a lot of personas. So every participant gets randomly a role. So there's one page of paper or online where it is described and say, okay, now you are Mr. William Smith and you run a souvenir shop together with your family, and you have this and this and this, so that people get some information about the role they're supposed to play, and that then for the duration of the training, they are in that role. And that is a way where people learn to understand, okay, what are the different stakeholders' interests, which might be then different from what they have been thinking before, and because they will find themselves in a role starting from that some man will now be a lady and a young person will be now an elderly lady, or the other way around. So that but they also can see that people are driven not only by their private interests, but it depends on what is your position in the industry, by the interest you have. So if you are the general manager of a five-star hotel, you want to have only rich people coming because only these are your customers. If you run a souvenir shop, you want to have as many tourists coming as possible. So you don't mind if there's an over-tourism debate, because, well, the more people come past your shop and maybe buy Coca-Cola from you, the better. So that is where people learning that. But also the internal discussions within the stakeholder group, they will see, okay, if I'm a general manager of a five-star hotel, or I'm a private person offering some Airbnb apartment, so that also our interests are not necessarily automatically the same, but there is a basic alignment that both the five-star hotel and the Airbnb wants, for instance, to have good air connections so that it's easy to reach the city they're in, so that they have common ground there as well, and they don't want to have people to pay a lot of tourism taxes that will push away people from coming, and so on. So that is the point where the flexibility in the training is that obviously if you do the training in Cameroon, you will talk about different things than if you do the training in Munich or in Seoul in South Korea. So that is the point that we have done this as a game-based workshop. So there is, of course, at the beginning there is information like we did in the lectures here. So what is the idea of meaningful tourism? So there will be 15-20 minutes at the beginning. You, as a trainer, are giving the basic information. But then, and at the end, for the last feedback, last 20 minutes or so, people will then revert back to their real self, and they can give some feedback from as a real person. But in between, they are supposed to stay in their role, and it has been proven that it's a very good idea that you actually have like a little name sign, so you can put in front of you. And so like I don't know if you can see that I have something here with your name on it. That's from some conference I brought home, so that people are reminded that they're not saying I'm Mr. So and so playing the role today off, but no, you don't. You are Mrs. Smith, the lady who runs the souvenir shop, so that either they have a sticker they can put on their clothes, or they have a sign they can put in front of them. So to support that they are staying in their role and discuss from the different points of view. And this is also something where maybe some cleaning woman or some receptionist ends up playing the tourism minister, and whereas the CEO maybe ending up being running a souvenir shop. So they will also learn to look at different perspectives. And this is clear that if people are doing something and have to think in a new way, that this is opening their mind also to many other ways to have new ideas. But so this material is provided from us to the trainers, and then the trainers can decide according to the local situation, also according to is this an urban destination or a rural destination, or is it a hotel group they are doing the training for, or the airline or something like that. Then of course that can be adapted, but a lot of the adaptation becomes automatically because of the discussions of the participants. So that is a way where it is, from our experience, really much more effective than if it's just slides where you talk and then you have to be very general. Whereas if you are having the people discussing, you can be very specific. And of course, the participants are supposed to be people from the industry. So we are not talking with people who have no idea about the industry, but these people will all be knowledgeable about what is happening in tourism and hospitality in the specific place they are in. So that's why you can also this way leverage the knowledge and the experience and the insights and maybe the good ideas all the participants have. This is the advantage of that. When we talk about the source market related trainings, this is a little bit different because there it is more of providing information. So when we talk about how to make Chinese tourists happy, or how to make European or Western European or Southern European tourists happy, then this will be more in a traditional way that the trainer has the information. And again, the basic information materials is provided by us and can be adapted. So then this will be more that the participants are learning and getting information they might not know before. But for the Meaningful Tourism Transformational Game Workshop, this is clearly something where we are also encouraging that people bring their own experience and their own knowledge to the field. And this has been quite successful where we did this already now, and people are saying afterwards, oh, that they have new perspectives and new ideas, and that is what Meaningful Tourism in the end is all about, that you learn to think about tourism in a new way, because that is what we have been saying all the time. The way tourism was organized until now, with basically sightseeing and relaxation and stable climate situation and so on, this is not how it will be. We are moving towards transformational experiences. We are moving towards individualization, that everybody gets a specific products for his or her interest and needs, and for that it is necessary that people just open their mind. And we said in the lecture, the first step always is simply to say, yes, I agree, I have to do something, I have to learn something, I have to question the way we did this until now, and I have to be open for change. This is basically the most important step. Once you say, yes, there is a need to think about how can we do things better in the future, how can we react to the changes which are coming upon us, if we want or not, then this is already half of the game. The biggest problem is that we can see that in many situations and with many people, that they say, oh, it has been working so well in the past, why can we not continue to do the same thing? And they try to resist and try to keep the old way as long as possible, even when the demand and the circumstances are changing. So I hope this answers a bit your question. And so we have for our trainers, we also have a Dropbox where you find all these materials. If this information somehow got lost, we are happy to, of course, to update you again on this. Any other questions? So, Mr. Vermer, are you with us? Can you tell us where you're from? No, maybe he couldn't hear me. So, Brigitte, are you there? Or maybe we have some internet problems here. Okay, anyway, so it's so I would think if there are no other questions anymore, then maybe we can call it a day. And so this has been the last of our online lectures for this year, and as I said at the beginning, for this quarter of the century. So all I can do is to thank again the Tourism Institute for helping us in staging this online lecture, and for wishing you all a very good new year and a new quarter of the century, and hope to continue to work with you in the new year, and wish you all success and happiness and all good things for you and your loved ones and for all of us. So thank you, and goodbye, everybody. See you in the new year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Bye bye.